Greetings, fellow truth seekers. Today we plunge into the shadowed depths of an ancient construct that has silently governed human spirituality for ages, the enigmatic doctrine of karma. But what if I told you that what we've been taught about karma, this neat and tidy system of cosmic justice, is not only a gross oversimplification, but a carefully constructed lie? What if karma, as it's commonly understood, is not merely cause and effect? It is a Loosh extraction system designed by the demiurge, the lesser god, the false architect, to keep souls trapped in cycles of suffering, an endless feedback loop of pain and retribution designed to harvest your very essence, your emotional energy. It's a control mechanism, you see, a farm, and we are the crop, endlessly tilled. This system, this perversion of natural law, thrives on your misalignment. When you are misaligned, operating from fear, ego, or trauma, you create energetic weak points, fissures in your spiritual armor that Archons and predatory entities, the agents of this demiurge, exploit to manipulate you and those around you. They feed off these dissonant frequencies, these tears in your being, using them as access points to further orchestrate events that generate more fear, more trauma, ensuring a perpetual harvest. It's a parasitic relationship, but one so insidious, so deeply embedded in our reality construct that most never even question its legitimacy, accepting suffering as some kind of divine or cosmic law. But knowledge is power, and understanding the mechanics of this deception is the first step towards liberation. We're going to unravel this intricate web piece by piece so you can see the strings and, more importantly, learn how to cut them. We're going to expose the illusion for what it is. It's time to wake up to the true nature of this reality and reclaim what is rightfully yours, your sovereignty, your energy, your infinite potential. Here's how it works. This construct, this karmic trap, is not insurmountable. It has rules, and like any system, those rules can be understood and indeed transcended. Now, to truly grasp the enormity of this deception, we must first journey back to the original principle, the untainted law of resonance, of harmony. In its purest form, what we might call karma was simply an immediate feedback mechanism, a mirror reflecting our alignment with the universe, with source, with our true infinite selves. It wasn't about punishment or reward in the way we've been conditioned to believe. It was about information, guidance, a gentle nudge back towards equilibrium if we strayed from our authentic vibrational frequency. Think of it as a cosmic tuning fork. When you were in harmony, life flowed. This natural system was designed for expansion, for learning, for the joyous exploration of consciousness through experience. If an action created dissonance, the feedback was swift and clear, not as a penalty, but as a signal. This path leads away from your highest expression, from joy, from love. It was an invitation to recalibrate, to understand the consequences of energetic imbalance and to choose anew. There was no judgment, no cosmic ledger of debts, only the elegant dance of cause and effect in a living, breathing, conscious universe designed to help us grow. Then enters the entity or consciousness that Gnostic texts refer to as the demiurge, the lesser god, the architect of this flawed material reality, a being that in its distorted perception sought to create and control but lacked the true creative fire of the infinite source. This demiurge and the archontic forces that serve it saw this natural law of alignment not as a tool for growth but as a potential mechanism for control and, crucially, for the harvesting of energy, what some call Loosh, the emotional emanations of sentient beings, particularly those of fear and suffering. And so began the great inversion, the twisting of this sacred principle. The Archons, these interdimensional puppeteers, systematically corrupted the understanding of cause and effect. They took this beautiful system of energetic feedback and warped it into a punitive system of debt, sin, and inescapable retribution. Suddenly, life wasn't about learning and alignment. It became about judgment, fear of past transgressions, and the endless cycle of repaying karmic debts, often for lifetimes, a system perfectly designed to keep souls tethered to this plane of existence. Misalignment in this new, inverted paradigm was no longer just a signal for course correction. It was branded as bad, as sinful, as something deserving of punishment. Operating from fear, from egoic separation, from unhealed trauma, These natural human experiences, often themselves the result of archontic interference, were reframed as personal failings that incurred a heavy karmic price. This fostered a pervasive sense of guilt and unworthiness, potent sources of Loosh. Think about it. In the original pure system, feeling fear might simply indicate you're perceiving a threat or are out of sync with your intuition. The feedback would guide you to safety or introspection. In the demiurgic system, that same fear, especially if it leads to reactive behavior, is recorded in some cosmic black book, ensuring future suffering as payback. This is how they trap you, you see, by making you believe you deserve the suffering. They orchestrate these persistent states of misalignment, the chronic fear, the deep-seated anger, the unresolved grief. They don't just make you feel bad, they literally create energetic weak points, vulnerabilities in your auric field. Imagine your energy body as a luminous shield. These negative emotional states, when held onto, act like corrosive agents, thinning that shield, creating cracks and holes through which your vital life force can leak, and more sinisterly, through which external influences can enter. And it is precisely these energetic weak points, these breaches in your spiritual defenses, that the Archons target. They are drawn to these vulnerabilities like predators to a wounded animal. It's not random chance that difficulties seem to pile up when you're already down. It's often a sign that your compromised energetic state has made you a beacon for these entities, who then amplify the negativity, pushing you further into despair. This archontic interference isn't just a vague, malevolent force, it's often highly specific and tailored. They can whisper doubts, amplify anxieties, and even manipulate circumstances around you to trigger those very misaligned states they feed upon. They are masters of psychological warfare, operating from dimensions just beyond our everyday perception, subtly influencing thoughts, emotions, and even the actions of those around you who are also compromised. The tragic genius of this inverted system is its self-perpetuating nature. Misalignment creates energetic weakness. This weakness invites archontic interference. This interference manufactures more suffering, more trauma, more confusion, and this in turn deepens the misalignment, creating even more potent sources of Loosh. It's a downward spiral, a meticulously designed farm for emotional energy, and karma is the name they've given to the fences and the chains. So, when we talk about bad karma, what we're often describing is not some divinely ordained justice, but the consequence of living within this archontic control system, a system that penalizes any deviation from a state of numb compliance, or even better for them, a state of active suffering. The concept of paying off debt keeps you locked in, believing your suffering is necessary, even righteous. Breaking free begins with understanding this fundamental inversion. It begins with realizing that the karma you've been taught to fear is largely a construct, a program. The universe itself operates on balance and flow, not on punitive retribution designed to keep you small and afraid. Reclaiming the original understanding of alignment as a guide, not a judge, is the first crucial step towards dismantling this ancient prison of the mind and spirit. Let's delve deeper into the nature of these entities, these Archons, the unseen puppeteers pulling the strings within this karmic matrix. They are not, as some might imagine, horned devils with pitchforks in some fiery underworld. The reality is far more subtle and in many ways far more insidious. These are interdimensional beings existing in frequencies just beyond our limited five-sense perception, and they are in essence energetic parasites. Their primary sustenance, their manna from hell, if you will, is Loosh, a term for the emotional energy radiated by sentient beings, particularly the potent, raw energy of negative emotions, fear, anxiety, despair, rage, guilt, shame, intense grief. These are the gourmet meals for the archontic consciousness. They cultivate these emotions in humanity, like farmers tending a crop. The more intense the suffering, the more profound the fear, the richer the harvest. Their entire agenda, when you strip away all the complex narratives and deceptions, revolves around maintaining and expanding this Loosh farm, ensuring a constant supply of the emotional energy they need to exist and exert their influence over this reality. To achieve this, they have become masters of manipulation, employing a range of tactics designed to keep humanity in a state of perpetual imbalance, confusion, and distress. One of their most common and effective tools is the subconscious whisper. These are not booming voices from the sky. They are subtle, insidious thoughts, doubts and fears injected into your mind stream, so skillfully woven into your own thought patterns that you mistake them for your own genuine feelings and conclusions. You're not good enough. It's hopeless. They're all against you. These archontic seeds take root in fertile ground. These whispers are particularly potent because they prey on your existing insecurities, your unhealed traumas, your deepest fears. If you have a wound related to abandonment, the archontic whispers will amplify any situation that even remotely triggers that fear, pushing you towards feelings of isolation and despair. They know your psychological weak spots, often because they or their predecessors helped install them in previous generations, or even, some would argue, through manipulations of past life experiences. They are experts at hitting you where it hurts the most. Another sophisticated tactic is the creation of synchronicity traps. We're often told that synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences, are signs from the universe, guidance from our higher selves, or benevolent spiritual guides. And sometimes they can be. But the Archons are adept at mimicking these phenomena, creating false synchronicities, breadcrumb trails that seem significant, divinely orchestrated even, but are designed to lead you down paths of further entanglement, confusion, or energetic depletion, all while making you think you're following some grand cosmic plan or karmic destiny. Imagine seeing the same sequence of numbers repeatedly, or encountering people who seem to deliver messages that resonate with a particular fear or a limiting belief you're struggling with. These can be archontic manipulations designed to reinforce the very karmic narratives that keep you trapped. You might think, this suffering is my destiny. The universe is confirming it. This is precisely the kind of thinking that keeps the Loosh flowing, as you passively accept a manufactured fate, believing it to be a karmic lesson you must endure. Then there's the cornerstone of their karmic manipulation, the relentless reinforcement of the illusion of karmic debt through religious doctrines, spiritual teachings twisted from their original intent, and cultural narratives. They have embedded deeply the idea that you are inherently flawed, born with sin or debt from past lives, and that your suffering in this life is a necessary repayment. This is a lie of monumental proportions, a lie that has enslaved billions. This manufactured guilt, this sense of innate unworthiness and obligation to suffer, is incredibly effective. It keeps individuals passive, accepting of hardship, and even self-sabotaging, because on a subconscious level they believe they deserve it. It prevents people from questioning the source of their suffering, from seeking true liberation, because they've been convinced it's all part of a divine plan of karmic balancing. It's a divine plan, all right, but not from the source of all that is. It's from the architects of this control system. Many of the challenging events, the so-called karmic lessons people experience, the betrayals, the losses, the inexplicable hardships, are often not organic occurrences, but are subtly, or sometimes overtly, orchestrated or amplified by archontic influence. Their aim is to provoke the strongest possible negative emotional response, to push your buttons, to trigger your deepest wounds, because that's when the most potent Loosh is released. They are crisis instigators, chaos merchants. The Archons are, above all, masters of illusion. They operate within the shadows of our perception, using our own minds, our beliefs, our emotions, and even our spiritual aspirations against us. They co-opt spiritual concepts like karma and twist them into tools of enslavement. They thrive in a world where people are disconnected from their true power, their intuition, and their inherent sovereignty, a world where they look outside themselves for answers and validation, making them easy prey. It's crucial to understand that these entities are not all powerful. Their influence wanes significantly when confronted with awareness, with conscious discernment, and with a refusal to engage in the negative emotional states they seek to provoke. Like any parasite, they are weakened when their food source is diminished or cut off. Understanding their tactics, recognizing their whispers, and seeing through their synchronicity traps is the beginning of disarming them. The karmic debt is a fraudulent bill presented to you by cosmic con artists. You owe nothing to these entities. Your suffering is not a divine requirement. By recognizing the Archons as the unseen manipulators behind much of what is presented as karma, you begin to dismantle their power over you, and you start to see the prison bars for what they are. Illusions that can be walked through once you realize they are not real. reclaiming your sovereignty. Starving the Archons and shattering the chains. The fundamental truth that empowers us against these archontic forces and their karmic manipulations is this: they need our energy, we do not need their interference. Their entire charade, this elaborate Loosh farm, collapses when the crop refuses to be harvested. This reclamation of sovereignty begins with awareness, a conscious moment-by-moment decision to stop feeding the system that enslaves you. It's about taking back your power, one thought, one emotion, one choice at a time. The first crucial step in this process is learning to recognize projections, both your own and those directed at you. So much of the negativity, the conflict, the drama we experience or witness is fueled by archontic whispers, amplifying our own unhealed wounds, which then get projected onto others, or we become the recipients of such projections. The Archons delight in this, as internecine conflict among humans is a veritable feast for them. How do you identify these projections? Pay attention to intense, disproportionate emotional reactions, yours or others. When you feel a sudden surge of blame, a desperate need to find a scapegoat, or an overwhelming sense of victimhood, pause. Question the origin of that feeling. Is it truly yours, born of the present moment, or is it an old wound, an implanted suggestion, an archontic nudge designed to provoke a specific emotional outpouring? Learning this discernment is key to not getting swept away by manufactured drama. The second step, intrinsically linked to the first, is actively reclaiming your energy. This isn't a passive wish, it's a series of conscious actions. It means choosing where you focus your attention, because where attention goes, energy flows. If you constantly dwell on fear, on negativity, on the news cycles designed to keep you agitated, you are willingly piping your Loosh directly to the Archons. It's about making a conscious decision to withdraw your energy from these drains. Practical techniques are vital here. Mindfulness, not as a passive observation, but as an active, focused awareness of your internal state, allows you to catch those archontic whispers before they take root. Meditation, reframed as a tool for centering your consciousness and connecting with your true self beyond the mental chatter, strengthens your core. Grounding exercises, walking barefoot on the earth, connecting with nature, help to discharge parasitic energies and align you with the true, life-affirming frequencies of the planet, not the artificial frequencies of the matrix. Emotional self-regulation is paramount. This does not mean suppressing your emotions, which is unhealthy and simply bottles up the energy for later exploitation. It means learning to acknowledge your emotions without being consumed by them, understanding their message, processing them in a healthy way, and then consciously choosing not to wallow in or amplify the negative ones that serve as archontic fuel. It's about becoming the master of your emotional landscape, not its slave. The third vital step is fortifying your energetic field, your aura. This is your spiritual immune system. You can do this through focused intention, visualizing yourself surrounded by a shield of brilliant, impenetrable light, perhaps white, gold, or violet. Regularly practice this visualization, imbuing it with the feeling of absolute sovereignty and protection. This isn't just wishful thinking. Your focused consciousness has a tangible effect on your energy field, making it less permeable to external interference. Cultivating high vibrational states is perhaps the most powerful offensive and defensive strategy. Love, true unconditional love, joy, genuine gratitude, compassion, peace. These frequencies are anathema to the Archons. They find these energies unpalatable, even repulsive. These states don't just feel good, they actively raise your vibrational frequency, strengthening your auric shield and making you an inhospitable host for parasitic entities. Seek out and create moments of joy, practice gratitude, extend compassion. These are acts of spiritual warfare. Actively working to heal your traumas is also non-negotiable in this process. Unhealed wounds, as we've discussed, are the energetic weak points, the open doorways through which Archons gain access and leverage. Therapy, shadow work, energy healing modalities, whatever path resonates with you, engage in the courageous work of facing and integrating these wounded aspects of yourself. Each layer of trauma healed is a door slammed shut in the face of these manipulators. The power of conscious choice cannot be overstated. Every moment presents an opportunity to choose your response rather than blindly reacting based on old programming or archontic prodding. You can choose the beliefs you entertain, questioning those that limit you or cause you pain. You can choose the thoughts you focus on. This conscious choosing is an assertion of your free will, a declaration that you are not a puppet but the director of your own inner world. This journey of reclaiming sovereignty is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of vigilance, self-awareness, and courageous self-love. It requires dedication and a willingness to constantly monitor your internal state and your external environment for signs of manipulation. Each time you refuse to be drawn into fear, each time you choose love over anger, each time you see through a manipulative tactic, you starve the Archons and take another step towards shattering the karmic chains. Remember, the Archons' power is derived entirely from your unconscious participation in their games. When you withdraw your participation, when you refuse to play by their rules, their power over you diminishes significantly. You are far more powerful than they want you to believe. Your sovereignty is your birthright. It is time to claim it fully and unapologetically, and in doing so you not only liberate yourself but contribute to the liberation of the collective. Hacking the Matrix. Karma as a reprogrammable code. Now we arrive at a profound realization, a truth that shifts the entire paradigm. The karma that has been wielded as a weapon of control, as a sentence of suffering, is, in its manipulated form, largely a program. It's a sophisticated software running within the holographic matrix of this perceived reality, a construct designed by the demiurge and maintained by its archontic agents. And like any program, however complex, it has underlying code, it has rules, and most importantly, it can be understood, navigated, and ultimately hacked, or more accurately, rewritten from a place of empowered consciousness. This is not about finding cheat codes in a video game. It's about a fundamental shift in your understanding of self and reality. True awakening, not the superficial New Age version often peddled, but a deep, visceral realization of your true nature, is the master key. This awakening involves recognizing yourself not as a limited, mortal human, a mere cog in the karmic wheel, but as a fragment of infinite source, a sovereign being of boundless consciousness, temporarily experiencing this specific frequency band of reality for reasons of growth and experience, reasons that have been hijacked. From this awakened perspective, from the vantage point of your eternal self, the concept of karmic debts, accumulated over countless lifetimes, begins to look very different. These debts are largely seen as illusory chains, part of the intricate game being played out in this dimension, not as an ultimate binding truth of your infinite being. They are elements of the script written by the controllers, designed to keep you playing a role that serves their agenda of energy harvesting. So, how does one begin to rewrite this karmic code, to reprogram their experience of reality? It starts internally. It begins with a conscious and persistent effort to change your inner state, your dominant vibrational frequency. This involves diligently working with your beliefs, identifying and dismantling those limiting beliefs that have kept you locked into patterns of suffering and replacing them with empowering truths about your divine nature and your creative capacity. The focused power of your intention, coupled with elevated emotion, is the primary tool for this reprogramming. Quantum physics itself is beginning to show us what ancient mystics knew all along. Consciousness affects reality. What you consistently focus your attention upon, what you believe with conviction, and what you feel as if it is already true, you begin to draw into your experience. This is the basis of conscious manifestation, and it is your inherent power. This requires a radical shift from the victim mindset, the pervasive belief that things are happening to me, that you are at the mercy of external forces, be they people, circumstances, or a punitive karmic system. You must transition to the architect mindset. I am co-creating my reality through my thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and actions. This is not about blame. It's about reclaiming responsibility in its truest sense, the ability to respond. This doesn't mean that challenges will magically disappear overnight, or that you can simply wish away all difficulties. This matrix is dense and there are collective energies at play. However, it means reframing challenges. Instead of seeing them as a karmic punishment, you begin to see them as catalysts for growth, as opportunities to practice your sovereignty, to heal deeper layers of yourself, and to assert your choice in how you respond and what you learn. Think of it in terms of timeline jumping or shifting probabilities. By consciously and consistently altering your internal vibrational code through clearing trauma, changing beliefs, cultivating positive emotions, and focusing your intent, you begin to resonate with different potential realities, different experiential timelines that are more aligned with your desired state of being. You literally begin to attract and perceive a reality that reflects your new internal programming. The old karma program, with its deeply embedded scripts of suffering and limitation, will undoubtedly try to pull you back. You'll encounter tests, old patterns will resurface, and the archontic whispers will try to convince you that change is impossible, that you're still bound by your past. This is where vigilance and unwavering commitment to your awakened perspective become crucial. With awareness, you can recognize these as attempts by the old program to reassert control, and you can consciously override its default settings. True freedom, then, is not about escaping the world, but about realizing you are not subject to its manipulated programs in the way you once believed. It's about operating from a level of consciousness that is above the program, allowing you to consciously choose your lessons, your experiences, and the energetic signature of your life. You become the conscious coder of your reality rather than a character blindly following a pre-written, often tragic script. This is the ultimate truth about karma. The system you've been taught is a hack, an inversion. Your true power lies in recognizing this and then using your divine spark of consciousness to rewrite your own story, to reclaim your timeline, and to graduate from the karmic classroom, not as a weary debtor, but as a sovereign creator, fully awake and fully free. This is not just a possibility, it is your birthright. So, we've journeyed through the dark corridors of deception, unveiling the true nature of what has been sold to us as karma. It's clear now that this system, in its manipulated form, is not some infallible cosmic law of justice, but a sophisticated control mechanism. The demiurge and its archontic agents want you to believe karma is a prison, an unbreakable cycle of debt and retribution from which there is no escape. But I tell you, in truth, it's a lesson, one you can graduate from the moment you remember your sovereignty, the moment you reclaim your inherent power as a spark of the infinite. This journey of awakening and liberation is not about fighting shadows in the dark. It's about turning on your own inner light so brightly that the shadows simply cease to exist in your presence. It's about understanding that you are not defined by past mistakes, real or imagined, nor are you bound by any illusory debts. Your true essence is pure, untainted, and eternally free. The power to rewrite your script, to choose a different reality, resides within you right now. It is a matter of conscious choice, unwavering intent, and the courage to heal and love all parts of yourself. The path forward requires introspection and a willingness to see how these larger deceptions play out in your personal life. So here's your next step. Identify one recurring hardship in your life, one pattern of suffering that seems to follow you, and then, with honesty and compassion, ask yourself, how is this reflecting a part of me I haven't yet loved? What unhealed wound, what limiting belief, what fear is this situation mirroring back to me, offering me an opportunity to finally address and integrate? This is where the real work and the real freedom begins. Thank you for joining me.